this point, you hear a pretty loud noise from up here as I get to bang this gavel down and we start our meeting. But we're going to do things a little tiny bit different today. So, council, if you'll indulge me for a moment, I'm actually going to kind of walk down front. Is that cool with you guys?
Awesome. Okay. Yep.
We're gonna before we actually start our meeting. Tom, are we rolling? We're rolling. Good. I want us to be rolling. All right. So I'm going to tell you guys a quick little story. And yes, those of you who know me know, believe it or not, I am capable of telling a quick story. So I'll make it quick. A few weeks ago, I get a phone call from one of our police officers. Shoop gives me a call and says, "Hey, Mike, I'm down here at Baskin Robbins, I think it was." And he says, "I saw this little boy down here who's dressed really sharp, dressed really nice." So I stopped him and I said, "Why are you dressed so nice?" And he says, this cute little boy tells him, "Well, I want to be mayor someday." And so Shoop says, "Can maybe you give him a little note or something like that, maybe one of your business cards?" And I said, "Well, you know what, get in touch with his mom. Why don't we do something a little bit different? Well, that little boy is here tonight. Bailey, would you come on down here for me real quick?"
Yep.
All right. Just a little bit. You gotta look real sharp. Okay. Come over here. So I'm gonna do something so our friend Tom in the back can actually see it. Okay, boom. This is Bailey. Say wave to the guy in the back with the camera, wave to him. Straight back, straight back. All right, there you go. Everyone in the Facebook world just got to meet you. All right, so Bailey wants to be mayor when he gets older, and I think, you know what, he's already got the outfit down for it. He's got the cool shoes, cool pants, got the tie, ready to roll. But I thought it would be pretty cool if Bailey could be our mayor tonight to start the meeting. What do you think? Is that cool with you?
Yeah.
All right. So before we take you up to start the meeting, I need to ask our town attorney, see this nice silver-haired gentleman standing right here, Jim Maloney, he's our attorney. This is the laws of Parker. This is our municipal code. It's kind of like Parker's Constitution, right? Lots of papers in here, and if you open it up, there's lots of big words that don't make a whole lot of sense. Okay? You know, charge for deficiency caused by fraud. That's not fun, so we just leave this book closed, right? But I need this book for you, because we're going to come back over here.
He's going to sit on it.
Yep. All right, say hi to all our council members as you walk by. Yep, high fives. They like high fives. This is David Lewis. All right. I'm going to put this book right here in my chair, because I need you to be able to see. Yeah.
I could use that book.
I need you to be able to see.
That worked there.
All right, let's scoot you forward a little bit. All right. So this microphone is hot. That means it's not physically hot. That means it's live. So say hi to everybody.
Hi.
See? Everybody out there can hear you, okay? So here's what we're going to do. We have to start the meeting first by saying, "Welcome to Parker." Say to that.
Welcome to Parker.
Say it. Tell everybody your name.
My name is Bailey.
Say, "And I'm the mayor tonight."
I'm the mayor tonight.
And what we need to do is we need to open our meeting first. So take this gavel. Now, it looks like a hammer, right? See this piece of wood? When I tell you, you're going to bang that gavel. And it's okay. You don't have to do this. But don't go super wild crazy on it, right? Just one big loud tap, okay? Yep. So I want you to say, "I now call this meeting to order." Say it.
I now call this meeting to order.
All right, that's perfect. That's the first piece of action that you did as a mayor. So now that's really important. Now that this meeting is open, we have to do the very most important thing that we do every meeting, and that's we need to honor our nation with the Pledge of Allegiance. So I need you to ask everyone in the room, say, "Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance."
Please rise and
join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
in the Pledge of Allegiance.
All right, and we're going to do something a little different here. Something I've always wanted to do. We're going to let him stand on the top. Now turn around here. See this flag? What do we do when we see the flag? Are you a scout? Or is this? We'll do this. Put your hand over your heart. Okay, ready?
The Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay, you ready to do it? So say, "I pledge allegiance
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all." Now turn around and tell everyone, "Thank you," and be seated.
Thank you and be seated.
All right, good job, buddy. All right. Now, here, give me a little hug. I'm going to carry you down because I've got a little something for you. Yeah, that's pretty fancy, huh? All right.
I did that same thing to Rivero.
You did a fantastic job, buddy. You did it much better than I could have done it. All right, so first off, we're gonna start, I have a little Town of Parker pin for you that's gonna make you mayor, okay? So let's put this right here. And I have my official name badge that says Mike Wade, Mayor of Parker. Oops. And you, my friend, get to keep this. And I'm going to put it on your shirt here. And now you are the Mayor of Parker. How does that look, everybody? Does that look good? And I have for you a certificate of recognition, honorary Mayor for the Day awarded to Bailey Eldridge on September 17, 2018. That is yours. Congratulations, buddy. Thanks for coming and helping me open this meeting. Give everybody a wave. What did you say? All right, Mom, did you want to come up and take a picture?
Dad, that's a camera.
Where's Dad?
Nah, we're good. Or Dad? So you got him. All right. We're good. Bailey, thank you very much, buddy.
I'm the mayor.
I got it. All right.
I think he overestimates the power of the mayor.
All right, but he had the look down, that's for sure. All right, everybody, so now that our meeting is called to order, we have first updates from Parker Chamber of Commerce. Mr. Houston.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Please don't try to lift me up, Mike. It'll be embarrassing for both of us.
I know.
So,
You need to call 911.
exactly. Wanted to give an update on some cool things happening at the Parker Area Chamber. In three key categories. One, an update on some of our workforce initiatives, some of the things that have happened in the last few weeks, our community marketing efforts, and also some of our community advocacy efforts and government affairs efforts. We've spent a good deal of time with Douglas County School District in the last few weeks, presented to the Board of Education a few weeks ago, actually back there tomorrow night, working with them on the career and technical education program. And we're excited to be a strong partner with Douglas County Schools as we look at trying to create that future pipeline of workers here in the Parker area and throughout Douglas County. We've had our first in a series of business roundtables just a few days ago with a number of business owners talking about workforce challenges that they have and looking at how do we identify some of the programming that's going to address some of those issues. Later this week, we're actually co-hosting the Gallup organization in downtown Denver. We took a small group of Colorado business leaders to Nebraska and to DC a couple years ago to meet with Gallup about some of the programming they're doing on entrepreneurship and some of those things that can be incorporated into the schools in our area. So we're pleased that it's moved forward now. The Colorado Office of Economic Development is going to host our meeting, and we're excited that they're partnering with us, with the Gallup organization, to bring some of this programming to identify future entrepreneurs. And the mindset behind that program is no different than what we do with Little League Baseball, with football teams, with rugby and everything else, but it's identifying some of those future superstars, And so we're going to do that same thing with future business leaders. I'm excited about where that program's going to go. We've also started some great conversations over the last few weeks, 2 or 3 meetings already with some action following from that with Aurora Public Schools, with their career and technical education folks. You may ask why Aurora Public Schools, so we're already meeting with Douglas County Schools, but the reason behind that is so much of our workforce in the Parker area comes from Aurora, because people can afford to live in Aurora in certain neighborhoods, but maybe can't afford to live in Parker. So we're looking at what does that look like. We had a chance to spend some time with 200 of the members of the key leadership team, all the principals, guidance counselors, the entire cabinet from Douglas County Schools down the street at the Pace Center a week or two ago, sharing some thoughts with them as well as their official partner on some of our workforce efforts. So we're excited for that opportunity. We're in the programming stage with Arapahoe Community College with Eric Dunker and his team over there on some apprenticeship and internship programs in partnership with Arapahoe Community College. Had a chance to share some insights with the Colorado Department of Education Commissioner just last week, and looking at some partnerships there too, and how some of the things they're doing on a statewide level we can bring down to the Parker level and Douglas County level here as well. And a number of other things going on in workforce, but those are just a few of the highlights. On the community marketing piece, we hosted our final Movies in the Park at O'Brien Park for the season. It's always a great event to bring people out and have a chance for neighbors to meet each other. Hosted our wine walk for the month of August. Had about 1,000 people downtown enjoying the evening, checking out all the different shops and boutiques and restaurants and pubs. And then on the community advocacy side, had a chance to take a little bit of a deeper dive with the Colorado Smart Cities Alliance, thanks to Council Member Josh Rivero to join me at that, to learn about some of the great things that are out there that as a community parker may be able to participate in as well. We hosted our Douglas County Business Alliance ballot forum. The ballot's going to be a bit confusing in a few weeks.
You think?
And so the ballot forum, we hosted that with our other chambers in the region, and brought a number of business leaders together to try to learn what that is. But it's going to be confusing for many, and so we try to take small hits at it to see if we can educate people in that regard. Last Friday we hosted Kelly Bruff, thanks to the mayor and council members Williams and Lewis, and who am I leaving out?
Holland.
Thank you, Amy. Yes. Last week was a bit of a blur. Thanks to all of you for joining us at that. Kelly spoke with us about that regional collaboration piece and how we're more successful working together as a region. Last but not least, two things coming up. On October 19th, our business impact meeting will be hosting Dr. Thomas Tucker, the new superintendent of Douglas County Schools, for him to have a chance to meet business leaders in the Parker area and also talk about some of their future plans. And near and dear to many people in this room will be an event hosted by us at the Pace Center on October 17th, which will be our 2018 candidate forum. And with that, we'll have three groups of candidates: our state Senate and state House of Representatives candidates, followed by county commission candidates, and then last but not least, the candidates running for Parker Town Council. So I'm sure I'll see many of you there that evening, and I'll be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Excellent. Council, do you have any questions for Dennis?
Just one quick, the business impact meeting, that's October the 17th? Did you say that?
That's October 19th.
19th. Is that a morning meeting or a noon meeting?
That will be a lunch meeting.
Okay.
We debated about holding a 6 a.m. meeting, Debbie, in your honor, but we
I
decided to make that
appreciate
a lunch
it.
meeting.
I really do.
Real quick, you're going to school board tomorrow night?
Correct.
Okay, I apologize. I thought it was October the 2nd. I was talking to Superintendent Tucker. So tomorrow night you're presenting for the career workforce.
Tomorrow night is more so about the business and community collaboration piece. They're going through a process to approve their 5 or 6 main goals for the new school board, and this is one of those goals. We're presenting on that specifically tomorrow night.
Excellent.
Okay. Other questions for Dennis? Nope. All right.
I do give you my apologies. I have one more stop, so I'm going to scoot here in a moment. So
No worries.
Nothing you said, but I've got one more
Okay.
place to go. So
You're
thanks.
good. Thanks, buddy.
Everyone.
Appreciate
Thanks
it.
for what you do for us.
All right, next up we have public comment, and this is for general public comment. If you're here tonight to speak on one of the many items on our agenda, then there'll be a public comment for those specific items when they come up. So what we have right now is general public comment, which is public comment on items not on our agenda. There's a 3-minute time limit. You're going to see above my head there's a clock that says 3 minutes. I've got one across the room, and I've got this super magic black box that I can hit a button that'll start the clock rolling. No action will be taken on these items. It's just an opportunity for you to give input to council if you so choose. I will warn anyone who gives public comment today that once it gets to 0, I'm not being rude, but I'm going to say thank you very much and invite the next person up. So with that, we'll open up public comment at 7:23 p.m. if there's anyone here wishing to address council. This is the time. Yep, come on down. Name and address for the record, please, and then the clock will start once you give that.
Okay. Corey Gellner, 9539 Huggins Court, Parker, Colorado, 80134. I'm here tonight to try to revisit Parker Tap House. I'm not looking for any answers or vote. I just wanted to hear or have you guys hear what I had to say. My wife and I are not developers, we're operators. We did not hire anybody in this process to help us through to get everything accomplished to save money, basically, and saving cost for the project. I know this has been extended more times than I can count. Architects, engineers, planning, building. I can tell you that there was an example of the city had looked at the plans 3-4 times, redlined it. All of a sudden, they're like, oh, you need a unisex bathroom, and which was fine, but then you have to send it back to the engineer, then you have to send it back to the architect, then you have to send it back to get it rebid, so on and so forth. Parker Water took several months and doing what they were doing, and I think you guys were aware of that. We were ready to close in January, at least I thought we were, and then the bank did not have an EPA study that they didn't have for the SBA loan. The one I believe, and all this was all my fault, basically, I am the person trying to build it, so I can't blame anybody but myself, even though I think sometimes it was pointed the other direction. I thought July 30th was our closing date. We got everything signed to the bank, everything was to the SBA, and it was actually June 30th. July 1st was part of it, and I just transposed that. In that meantime, within that month or two, I did lose my sister to cancer, and I was in disarray on everything in my life, and I apologize for that. So I wanted to know where we should start. So I reached out to several council members, or a few council members. The first council member says, well, you need to go through the city. You need to speak with economic development. You need to speak with the town planning. I reached out to them. They told me that I needed to have a commitment letter back from the bank, renewed. I had that within a couple of weeks, a letter saying that we were good for the money. A closing date. I sent a letter saying that we could close actually September 15th. If we could get a purchase sales agreement. And I know that it was going to take a while to get a purchase sales agreement because we had to go through all this and rehash everything out for the closed session and open session. Then the last time somebody says, well, just send an email and let's get us into the closed session and get through and the closed session and the email, and they never got back. I was a little gun shy after what was happened with Lowe's and so on and so forth. I'm trying to hurry with this.
No, you're fine. I'll give you, if you finish your thought,
Okay.
you're fine. You're
Okay.
fine.
Thank you. With Lowe's, my family, not developers, was out $200,000 with the Lowe's, and those that were in town council know that. As we go through in the Parker, our went from 3.5 to 5.1. Some of it was being held up by Parker Water. Some of it was being held up by my architect. Some of it was held up for everything. The cost of the building has gone up 20% since we've started this project. City council, or the town council, or not town council, the town planning said, well, economic development is going to be able to help us through some of this process. We can add brick to your building, but that's okay, we'll help you out with that. We can add steel to this part of the building, but that's okay, we can help you out with that. Then the hotel came up. The hotel killed everything out for us that was supposed to be kind of promised through economic development. So here I sit. At first I had a banker that was disemboweled and was out of control. I do have a new bank, same bank, different banker. She's out of Atlanta. Her name's Susan Smith, that totally has everything under control. Apex Building, some people questioned on whether or not they can build. They do $100 million worth of business in Denver. They could not get approved through the SBA if they weren't qualified. They're telling me 12 to 14 months to build. I would like to bring in my team in a closed session and sit down with council to prove with my bank, with my builder, and with me and my wife, and sit down and see if we can rehash some of this to see if we can come out so my family's not out everything. I appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Corey. Appreciate it. Sorry to hear about the loss of your sister. Next up for public comment? Name and address for the record, please.
Rich Anders, 9539 Huggins Court, Parker, Colorado, 80134.
Okay.
Good seeing you guys again. Last time it was a little bit easier because we had a unanimous vote in our charge. Just to refresh your memory, we'll be working with Corey as a distiller. We just opened one in Elizabeth, a small production facility, and it's going very well. I wanted to kind of remind you some of the things I think that will be coming to Parker that we're planning on doing. Besides having that restaurant, besides having a lot of the business that will come that way, the distillery, we have people that are already that want to come down to this little tin building in Elizabeth that want to create their own blends. As you recall, we're going to be doing things with gin, but mainly with bourbon and rye, where people can come down and create their own blends, whether that's stores like Lucas Liquors from out of the city or the Bourbon Club. A lot of members which are here in Parker. Believe it or not, there's a lot of Bourbon Club members here that want to come in, businesses. So there'll be people that will be coming in that can taste through and create their own blends and have their own name on bourbon. It's very unique, and it's something that you won't find in any other stores, and I don't think there's very many distilleries across the state or even the country that are doing that. So it's going to be it will help draw people to Parker. So I think there's a lot of benefit that we can do. We're selling out of Evans and Pike, which is a bourbon that we do. We have three different. We've got an uncut, 130 proof. Right now, it's moved up to there. It's $129.99 on the shelf. I did another run last week. We're almost out, and this is Monday. We've got a $99.99 shelf price and a $79.99 shelf price. That one is a cognac finish. Those are sold out. And then we've got things that go from $19.99 to $39.99. So I think we will be able to draw business to Parker and be a very good partner with the community and the business community. I also want to just take a few seconds to, I guess, ask for mercy for Corey and his family. After what happened at Lowe's, a lot of people would have said, I just don't know if I want to try and do this again. And he and his family want to work and have a business here where he lives, where he loves, and the amount of money that they've put into this. And as he mentioned, $5 million facility he's putting in, and a lot of it is because of things that people here in Parker wanted this building to be. And he's done everything he can to step up. It's not about where the blame lies, but it's just about there's probably no way to make this move any quicker than having Corey do it in the first place. But I don't think you're going to be able to have a better partner in your town than allowing Corey to sit with you and show him that they can have the funds and that they'll get finished. And I did go over, I think.
Yes, you did. No worries.
Thank you for
Thank you, Rich.
indulgence.
Appreciate it. All right, next up for general public comment. Come on down. Name and address, please.
My name's Mike Peterson. I'm at 10219 Park Glen Way. I wanted to address the parking on Park Glen Way with the school that's there, the Colorado Early Colleges. And I'd like to ask that you consider amending the parking situation on that road so that it would just have parking on the residential side. One of the problems that we're having is that they park on the business side, and it really constricts the egresses coming in and out of those businesses. And I worry also because sometimes the kids, about 30% of the time, they will park so that either a bumper will stick out over some of those, and if we had a fire or a problem, I'm scared that it might damage a fire truck trying to get in and out of there quickly. And so it would eliminate a lot of problems as far as sight. We had 2 accidents that I saw last year. There might have even been more, but I know that there were 2 with people pulling in and out of some of those businesses. And so I'd like to have you just consider amending that just so they could park on just one side of the road, and I think that would eliminate a lot of problems that we're having there. Thank you.
Mike, thank you very much. If you could, before you leave tonight at some point, just give the gentleman, just give Jim Maloney your contact information so that we can make sure that we have that as a follow-up with him. You did already? Okay, then you're good to go. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, next up for general public comment. Seeing none? Seeing none? Seeing none? Seeing, no, I'm just kidding, Terry, come on. Name and address for the record, please.
Terry Dodd, 11450 Marlboro Drive, Parker, Colorado, 80138. I wasn't going to speak, but the gentleman before me mentioned the parking on Park Glen. I would suggest that you might just move the parking back away from the ingress egress. Like one parking space would make it much safer to get in and out of that, those curb cuts. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right. Public comment. General public comment. This is your time. Now for reals, going once. Going twice. All right. We're going to close public comment at 7:34 p.m. and move to reports, items, and comments from mayor and council. Mr. Dyack, your time to wow us.
I don't know if I can wow you, Mayor.
We should have a game every time you say E470 or Dr. Cog.
Dr. Cog.
Hey.
Had,
Ding, ding, ding.
Had actually four sessions. Work session, chair, vice chair meeting, and a sub-regional meeting. What we're trying to do is we're trying to get to a point where we can capture federal money, federal transportation money, bring it down to the county level, and figure a way to disseminate that upon Douglas County as well as the other municipalities. So we're going to have about $23.1 million to utilize, whereas before we had to fight for $1. So in my opinion, we've already won at that level. I've attended the Parker Road corridor study with Councilmember Louis Rivero. We also went to the Civic Academy. We had I think it's the second or third week, we had a citizen discussion. Councilmember Martin, Rivero, and myself, and Mayor Wade, I think you had the opening discussion or opening words. And attended the Years of Service banquet. What that is for Cities and Counties Week, we get together and celebrate the benchmarks of some of our employees. I think it was 5 years up until 25 this time. So we had a litany of people. Councilmember Holland, Lewis, Mayor was Master of Ceremonies along with Jacob, I believe, and myself. We were there, and Mayor, that is all I have.
All right. Thank you very much. Debbie.
As John said, I was in attendance we had our meeting here at Town Hall on Parker Road corridor this past week. I also attended the latter part of the parking standards that people were coming in and making comments on that was held at the Pace Center. So that had a lot of good feedback according to staff, interaction between people there, and a young man that I knew when he was just a baby. I did not recognize, of course, but he was there talking about trails, crusher-type trails for runners. So I said, well, that's out of my scope because I'm not running.
We out on that one.
Unless something's chasing me, I'm not running. But it was well attended. As Dennis mentioned, we were many of us were in attendance at the Business Impact on Friday, and Kelly Bruff, she was excellent. And one of the things that she discussed, of course, we all discuss it, is transportation. So it's not just here in Parker that folks are frustrated, but it's all over the Front Range in particularly. And one of the most fascinating things that she talked about were automated cars and what the smart cars and how they would talk to one another and what's already happening in models in other municipalities that we're not doing here in the state of Colorado. So lots of good information, good advice. attended the Years of Service banquet. Also, on the night that the Citizen Academy, Councilman Holland, Councilman Williams, and myself attended the Parker Arts Volunteer Appreciation Dinner. So we split the council, and it just happened to fall that three women going one way and the three men, and so four.
Three and a half
Three and a
men.
half. So that's always a great great party appreciation dinner to attend. The volunteers that do so much for Parker Arts, the volunteer hours are just, it's like in the thousands. And we could not do and put on some of the performances that occur, regardless of what kind of, visual or performing arts at Pace and the schoolhouse without the volunteers. And they do this because they have a love of the arts and a love for Parker, because it's not a paid position. So we're always very appreciative of that. I also attended a business retention meeting with Darlene the week before at Chili's. I was surprised to know that they employ 130 people. There are 80 Chili's in Colorado. Their biggest challenge is not servers, but cooks. They're paying anywhere between $14 and $18 an hour. And one of the reasons, I thought it would be, I thought you'd like it. And one of the reasons that they are willing to, pay maybe higher than other places is transportation figures into it, because by the time the night cook or chef gets off, there's no more public transportation coming in and out of Parker, so they can't get back to wherever they are living. So that's a challenge there. I had to ask, we do a higher volume here than the Chili's in Lone Tree.
That could be good or bad.
All right. Josh.
Sorry, public, but it's a busy week for us. I'll start with Friday. I went to National Site Selectors Breakfast with our Economic Development Council, Department. And that's essentially, you go to find out how you can make your community more appealing to site selection, business opportunities, how we can get businesses and jobs, daytime economy into the town. And fascinating meeting. Heard from some great people up on the board. Most of it was pertinent. We had a couple young millennials that had some great ideas, and truly appreciated going to that. Thursday had the Senior Center board meeting, and Mr. Dyack will be happy to hear they now have a 5-year plan with much prodding. We're working on strategic planning with them, and they've got a 5-year plan. And kudos to Judy Prentice for initiating that. She's the treasurer over there. And let's see, Civic Academy that evening. Wednesday was DBA, Downtown Business Alliance. They took it upon, I represent them with the town, and they took it upon themselves to invite Kevin Tilson from Castle Rock DDA. Absolutely fascinating to hear another point of view. I thought it was a great meeting, and really appreciative. We can say things all day long, but when you hear it from the same 7 mouths, it doesn't always stick, and to hear it from another community, it was really good for the business community. Parker Road Corridor Master Plan, and then, sorry, I think that's all I got.
Can't read your
I can't read it, it's all scribbles.
All right.
I'm good.
Do you want me to help you?
Amy.
I believe I was included in most everyone's update, including Dennis Houston from the Chamber. But something I'd like to add, Debbie, I don't know if you mentioned this, on the Volunteer Appreciation Dinner, we do have over 300 volunteers that help out at the Pace Center. And again, those are all the people taking your tickets, greeting you, directing you. So greatly appreciate all of their efforts. And that dinner was hosted by John and Kelly Gibson at their home. And so it's always very kind of them to open up their home to all of the volunteers. They're great supporters of the culture and arts here in Parker. That's all I have to add.
Mr. Martin.
I think I got mentioned and everything else. One thing, you heard the term Parker Civic Academy, for those that don't know, or for those watching at home, which I always feel like I'm a game show host when I use that phrase. But it's a class that the town and council came up with for citizens to learn all the different departments of the town. What do they do? What do they not do? What are they responsible for? all of those different things, really learning the ins and outs of the town itself, and it's great. And they reserve an hour for us to come in and do some Q&A and whatnot. And it was great to get some feedback from folks and to give them our perspective on things. So if you haven't had a chance to take the class yet, take it. It is a big time commitment, but definitely worthwhile.
Excellent. So for me, in addition to everything else that was already mentioned, the biggest thing for me, I was invited by the Mayor's Institute on City Design to represent the town of Parker in Anchorage, Alaska, about a week and a half ago, at no expense to the citizens of Parker. I was invited along with 5 other mayors from around the country. I was there with the mayors from Redondo Beach, California, Union City, California, Idaho Falls, Idaho, Lynn, Massachusetts, and Avondale, Arizona, for us to present projects that our communities are working on and be able to confab with other mayors of similar size in other areas on how we can help solve each other's problems and issues and everything else. In addition to that, there were 6 subject matter experts from architecture to transportation design to landscape design, all of which had to sign an agreement that they would not solicit business from any of those municipalities within a year. They were just there to help as well. It was hosted by the Anchorage Museum. Absolute incredible experience, especially for the citizens of Parker, because I was legitimately able to come back with what would equate to tens of thousands of dollars worth of advice from experts on some of the challenges we have here. And I got to say, I mean, I always brag about Parker being the center of the universe and the best place in the world to call home. When you sit with other mayors and hear some of their challenges that they're going through, we are pretty darn lucky here in Parker for what we've got. This is we've got things, and not to downgrade the 6 professionals, well, 5 that are sitting here now and 6 that usually are, but it's not because of us. It's because of the men and women who work for the town of Parker. It's the staff. I mean, citizens, you guys, truthfully, you might not realize it, but you are absolutely blessed to have the staff that the town of Parker has working day in and day out for you. And being to this event really, really showed me that. So that wraps it for me. So let's go ahead and move on to the next item, which is consent agenda. Consent agenda items are considered to be routine and will be enacted with one motion and one vote unless a council member or I ask to have something removed. And I am going to be asking council, if you guys don't mind, if when you make your motion, if you could not include items C and D, and we have those individually, and it's just mainly to update a date that was on those. But other than that, unless a council member, unless any of you guys have something to be removed, I would entertain further discussion or a motion on consent agenda items 6A through 6G with the exception of C and D.
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion from Josh and a second from Amy. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Now on items 6C and 6D, I would entertain a motion on those with the change that second reading is actually scheduled to October 15th as opposed to October 1st.
So moved.
Second.
Motion from Josh Rivero, second from Josh Martin. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Next item up is public hearings. The one that we have for tonight is Pine Bluff Shopping Center Assistance Program Agreement. Mr. Carlson, he's wearing his town council tie tonight.
There you go.
Yeah, I wore my, what do you think of my purple? I wore purple tonight.
I think it's pretty cool.
It's a pretty slick looking
I'm
tie,
most
isn't it?
impressed with the mustache.
With the mustache. I know, I don't think
tie
Tom can get it that far on the camera, but my tie bar is an actual mustache. Can you zoom in on it?
It looks like Lyft.
It looks like Lyft, kind of?
Yeah.
Good enough. We did back there.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, tonight's item before you is a request from Coble and Company through its subsidiary Pine Bluffs Investors LLC for financial assistance to develop a new shopping center on the northeast corner of Parker and Hess Roads. The request for assistance is based on the new shopping center assistance ordinance that was approved by this body last month. And the assistance ordinance has 4 salient bases for participation: that the project is commercial in nature and is located within areas of the town's master plan that are identified as appropriate for this type of development, that the proposed project consists of 2 or more buildings with a collective gross floor area of at least 30,000 square feet, that the proposed project will generate new sales tax revenues, and that at least 50% of the leasable space in that project will be retail sales tax generating. Finally, the project anticipates aggregate employment of at least 50 full-time employees. The project that's in front of you tonight includes approximately 11.5 acres at the northeast corner of Parker and Hess. It will consist of 6 retail buildings and a medical office building with an aggregate floor area of approximately 55,000 square feet. Additionally, a freestanding emergency department of approximately 10,000 square feet and a Kaiser Permanente office building of approximately 50,000 square feet are programmed for this site. The project anticipates in excess of the 50 full-time employees required by the ordinance. And exclusive of the 2 medical facilities, the project represents a capital investment in the town of approximately $27 million. The project site conditions present some very unique opportunities and challenges. These include the location of the project with sloping topography, proximity to the intersection of Parker and Hess roads, revised access to the Pine Bluffs residential neighborhood, connections to the future Kaiser Permanente out parcel, and substantial on-site infrastructure. The unique challenges of the site and the substantial on- and off-site infrastructure requirements contribute to the increased costs and will have a public benefit in terms of access, grading, site design, traffic circulation, stormwater management, and both sound and light attenuation. Extensive meetings with the Pine Bluffs HOA have resulted in revisions to the original site plan that was submitted, and Coble has agreed to make specific access, road, and drainage improvements associated with the project based on those meetings. Retail sales from the project are estimated to be between $15 and $20 million annually, and the tenant operations can reasonably be anticipated to employ 200 or more individuals part-time and full-time when it is fully operational. Construction on the project has begun. I'm sure you guys have seen huge piles of dirt down there, with anticipated delivery of the initial phase of the project late in 2019. The Pine Bluffs Commercial Project, in short then, meets the following goals of the Shopping Center Assistance Program. It meets those thresholds criteria that we went over initially. It develops a high-quality retail-supported commercial center. It represents retail diversity in our community. It represents job diversity and employment opportunities. It develops public or quasi-public improvements associated with the project, and it creates new sales tax. Furthermore, the inclusion of the medical facilities and the office space activates the overall development, as well as adding much-needed office space in the town of Parker. Coble has submitted a request for financial assistance in the amount of $2.2 million to offset a portion of the infrastructure and development costs highlighted above. And staff has proposed a shopping center assistance program agreement with the Pine Bluff Investors LLC, which would include a rebate of 50% of building permit fees and construction use taxes, and 50% of sales tax revenues generated from all sources within the development, not to exceed a period of 10 years, with a combined maximum rebate of fees and taxes not to exceed $2.2 million requested. Staff have reviewed the project pro formas and feel the representations of both costs and anticipated revenues associated with the project are both conservative and reasonably attainable, and recommend approval of the shopping center agreement as outlined. This concludes my presentation. The applicant is here, and both he and I would be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay. Before we ask the applicant to come up, council, do you have any questions for Matt?
Not at this time.
No? And just to clarify, for those who haven't been through this, the $2.2 million, that's not a check written by the town of Parker for $2.2 million. That's 100% of that is a rebate. So if the development doesn't generate any taxes, no money goes out the door. And that is for 50% rebated back up to a total of $2.2 million or a time period of 10 years, whichever occurs first, just to clarify.
That is correct.
Okay. All right. So does the applicant have anything else to add? Jeff? No? None? Okay. Then we'll open it up for public comment at 7:52 p.m. if there's anyone here wishing to address council on this item. Okay. Seeing none, I'll close public comment at 7:52 p.m. And are you moving, young lady?
I was thinking about it, but
No, come down. We're all family here. It's all good. No, we're all about educating. We're all about educating. So
So you remember the rules I said earlier about the clock up above me and all that jazz?
Yes.
All right, so you start with your name and address.
My name is Heather Helsing. I'm at 11823 South Rock Willow Way, Parker, Colorado 80134.
All right, Heather, and I'm gonna hit start, and you're gonna ask your question. You're gonna do your comment.
I just wanted to make sure that the council considered the fact that that is an extremely busy intersection for high school students, and also that you've got Cimarron, and if they're going to put any kind of a food service in that particular store, we're talking directly across from the 7-Eleven, correct?
No, where this is the north. Oh yes, I'm sorry, northeast side.
Okay,
Yeah.
so yes. So if there's going to be any food service or anything like that in there, those students complain all the time that there is nothing for them to go eat. And they are going to, I just want to make sure that you have considered the ins and outs of getting out of that thing and how safe it's going to be for those students, because if they do put in any kind of food or fast anything that the students could eat from, it's going to be a disaster, just so you know, before, after, and during lunch.
Sure.
So I just want to make sure the council was considering that because when I look at that, I think, how in the heck are you going to get in and out? Because there's a median here. You know, it's not like you're going to cut across Parker Road. So I'm assuming that you've thought that over.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You've got your 3 minutes, so ask all your questions away before I stop
No,
the
that's
clock.
just
You
it.
good?
I was just thinking about what a disaster that was going to be.
Okay.
And I have people who drive, so I needed to make sure that you're considering that.
Absolutely.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much. So the way it'll work is we'll get to your question after everyone else has had a chance to ask theirs. If there's anyone else wishing to address council. Seeing none, I know it's not particular to this because this is about the shopping center assistance program. But Matt, if you or if there's anyone or if Fusa or if someone else from staff could just throw up a little bit of a answer to her what happens with traffic access easements and so on.
We're not the engineers.
Yeah. The simple answer to you is yes, absolutely. In fact, they've been, they go round and round with staff for a long time because we have guidelines, code, law that says how access points happen for safety, for security, for all of that, and things can't be built unless those are followed. That's the politician's answer to you. He's the engineer, so he's the one who can give, specifics.
So any site plan that's constructed on that site, whether it be a restaurant or other type of use, has to go through a formal review process in which the site plan is prepared by architects and engineers, and they do have to meet our minimum standards for access and for traffic. As pertains to that particular site, there is existing access points from both Hess Road and Parker Road, which will be utilized, and those were actually designed with the original development. So everyone will be safe accessing that site, including high school students. And we take particular care to make sure that those standards meet both CDOT and town standards.
And just to also add to that, since we don't handle fire safety, South Metro Fire does, South Metro Fire also reviews those access points and has to give approval to make sure it meets their requirements as well before anything can happen.
Absolutely. And like I mentioned, there's 3 access points, which exceeds the minimum of 2 for that development.
Okay. John?
And Tom, 2 of the 3 are signalized, correct?
Actually, 1 is signalized.
Okay.
There's 1 existing signal on Hess Road that will be used to serve that site. Then there is another right-in, right-out as you approach Parker Road on Hess Road. And then there's another right-in, right-out access on Parker Road that will be used for that site.
Okay. Thank you very much. All right, we'll close public comment at 7:56 p.m. And council, I'll entertain further discussion or a motion, please.
I move to approve the shopping center assistance program agreement with Pine Bluffs Investors LLC.
Second.
Motion by Josh and a second by Amy. Council, please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Next item up is item 8 for our ordinances, and we got a whole plethora of them. First one, which is 8A, this is ordinance number 1.516 on second reading. This is a bill for an ordinance to indemnify the mayor, town council, town employees, and town-appointed officials against pending and threatened legal action by Vista South LLC and Mountain Waste South Metro LLC. Mr. Maloney, the floor is yours.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. On April 16th of this year, Town Council approved the annexation and zoning of 2 lots owned in whole or in part by Vista South LLC and Mountain Waste South Metro LLC. During the public hearing for this annexation, the owners of these lots submitted a hearing brief to Town Council. The hearing brief stated the Town Council's consideration of the petition to annex these 2 lots is being undertaken in clear derogation of local, state, and federal law. The hearing brief further stated that the town council's approval of the petition and zoning application would impair the rights of the lot owners that are protected by the First Amendment and the 14th Amendments to the United States Constitution, giving rise to possible damages and claims against the town staff, and elected officials, and prospective liability for the attorney's fees for these landowners. Following the approval of the annexation and zoning of these lots by town council, the owners of these lots amended the lawsuit that they filed in Douglas County District Court challenging this annexation and zoning by adding a new claim that the town acted in bad faith and that the town engaged in a bad faith scheme which culminated in the approval of the annexation and zoning of these lots. Section 1518 of the Home Rule Charter for the town provides that the town council may by ordinance indemnify the mayor, town council, town employees, and town officials concerning threatened or pending civil actions. The purpose of the attached ordinance is to indemnify the mayor, town council, town employees, and town-appointed officials concerning any and all pending and threatened claims asserted in the hearing brief and the Douglas County District Court case described in the attached ordinance, as may be asserted in the future to the fullest extent allowed by Section 1518 of the Home Rule Charter of the Town of Parker. So an approval of the ordinance would be an approval to indemnify mayor, council, employees, appointed officials as indicated. Any questions, mayor and council?
Council, questions for Jim? No. Okay. We'll open it up for public comment at 7:59 PM if there's anyone here wishing to address council. Seeing none, we'll close public comment at 7:59 and I'll entertain further discussion or a motion, please.
I move to approve ordinance number 1.516 on second reading.
Second.
Motion by Amy and a second by Debbie. Council, please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Next item up is ordinance number 1.517 on second reading. This is a bill for an ordinance to approve the memorandum of understanding regarding the Douglas County Sub-Regional Transportation Forum by and among the following agencies: City of Aurora, City of Castle Pines, City of Littleton, City of Lone Tree, Town of Castle Rock, Town of Larkspur, Town of Parker, and Douglas County. Leading us tonight is the one, the only, Mr. Chris Hudson.
Lucky me.
Lucky you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight in front of you have I'm going to use the abbreviation MOU for Memorandum of Understanding for the remainder of this conversation tonight. The MOU that you have in front of you is due to a new way that Dr. Cog, the Denver Regional Council of Governments, is distributing federal money that John Dyack talked about a little bit earlier tonight. They have adopted a new model, a new way of doing business that follows the model that was in use by the city of Seattle, the Seattle Metropolitan Planning Area, MPO. And this MOU basically creates a sub-regional forum of the Douglas County governments, of which the mayor listed all 8 of them. I won't repeat them. But this MOU basically creates for each sub-region a forum of government and staff to solicit, evaluate, select, and recommend for approval the regional and sub-regional projects. And what this is, there's a pool of money that comes from the federal government, and Dr. Cog is tasked with distribution of these funds. The new model creates 2 different pots of money, a regional pot of money and a sub-regional pot of money. The sub-regional pot of money is actually divvied between the counties or the sub-regions based on population and employment. As John stated earlier, there's $23 million that is looking to be coming to Douglas County. This is the first time ever that Douglas County has had a dedicated piece of the pie, so to speak, in the Denver regional area. I agree with John when he stated that Douglas County's already won, because we've already won. This MOU establishes this governmental group, this forum, to basically work on divvying up these funds. And with that, I'll answer any questions you have. There's a lot of details in the MOU as far as quorum requirements, how many projects you get to apply for. It's all in the details, and I won't go into those details tonight with you.
Okay. Questions? John, you got a question?
I don't have a question, but just a comment that, to me, if we don't approve this, we can't participate in the divvying up of the $23 million. So back to Chris's statement of my statement, we've already won, and if we can get some monies from this, all the better. But I think we as Douglas County residents will be benefactors of whatever comes of this.
Okay, other questions?
So an MOU to create an MPO to receive TIP from Dr. Cog.
Easy. Wow. Alluring acronyms.
He had it written
10-4.
down.
He's been waiting
Wow.
all night to say that.
I was actually thinking of posting a game, and maybe Tom could have like a little counter in the corner as we're going through that every time an acronym, he's pointing at every time an acronym comes out that it's like ding, ding, just kind of rolls through.
No, on a serious note, I'm sorry. I did want to state kudos to Councilman Dyak and to staff. This is outstanding, and the work that's been done to receive, hopefully, some of these funds, I think, is incredible. And regionally, definitely to receive these funds.
Yeah, it's been, through the last tip cycle, it seemed like we were all fighting for the same pot. And this, going through an entire process to realign the tip process, it was a regional effort. I was thankful to play a part. There were many others which I can't even think of at this point in time, but it goes beyond me. It was a regional effort, and to me, hopefully we can continue the momentum and put these dollars to good use with good projects.
You might say what TIP is, TIP.
Transportation Improvement Plan. So there's
you go.
it's.
I'm going to guess most people were not aware.
They weren't aware.
Yeah, no, it's.
MOU, MOP, TIP.
Yeah.
Easy.
And there are lists and disqualifiers to this list that only Chris Hudson, in his mind, has. But for us, we need to. We can find 3 or 4 projects to submit, and hopefully we can get money for 1 or 2 of them, which lessens the town's burden. And to me, looking back in the past in this entire process, I don't think we've got but 1 or 2 projects or programs taken care of, Chris. Is that correct?
In the past 15 years, I think we've had 3 federally funded projects.
Yeah. Yeah.
Josh, you got a question?
Just to piggyback on what Mr. Rivero said, I mean, I started going to Dr. Cog, I think 2011 and 2012, and the mayor had gone 2 years prior to that. And then John took over, but even when I got there, former Commissioner Jack Hilbert was there. So a lot of this is a culmination when you think of how long, unfortunately, that some of these things take. I mean, I've sat here for 8 years, and Mike was there 2 years before me, and I know Jack was there prior to that. So, I mean, it's an ongoing effort to try and, I don't want to say compete for those funds, but in all fairness, the 2 years I spent going to Dr. Cog, it was, how much of this money is Boulder and Denver going to split up? Because none of it ever made it south of 470. So for us to actually be able to participate in this is pretty cool, because it's rarely, if ever, been an option before. So.
Okay. Other questions, comments?
And I mean, just to kind of echo Councilmember Martin, a lot of this stuff is just sort of ongoing, and you're absolutely right. Former Commissioner Hilbert, who was a former council member Hilbert, was one of the integral people to get this thing rolling. Through myself and many others, it's just a continuation, and we sometimes get fortunate to be there at sort of a conclusion. Other times, people do the heavy lifting, and then people on the back end sort of get to come in. For example, E470, Councilmember Martin did some fantastic work to get the vehicle registration fee eliminated. And it just so happened that he transitioned out of that position. I got to vote on it. Again, Councilmember Martin and I talked throughout the entire process. I voted for it. Big publicity saying it was unanimous and mentioned me, but they failed to mention the other people that were there doing the heavy lifting on the front end. So, to me, it's one of those things, but we take a step back and just say this is just good stuff for everybody.
Cool. All right. We'll go ahead and open it up for public comment at 8:07 p.m. if there's anyone here wishing to address council. You can even use acronyms. Seeing none, we'll close public comment at 8:07. I'll entertain further discussion or a motion, please.
You want to go?
Move to approve ordinance number 1.517 on second reading.
Second.
Motion by Josh, second by John. Council, please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Next item is ordinance number 1.466.4 on second reading. This is a bill for an ordinance to amend section 2.3 of the Town of Parker Personnel Manual concerning employment of relatives and nepotism. Tamara, is this your first meeting?
This is my first meeting.
Excellent.
I'm so excited.
Yay. Well, I would like to say welcome to Parker,
Thank
but you've already
you.
been here for a while, but this is your first meeting.
It's my first meeting, just over
Excellent.
4 months.
There you go.
Thank you.
All right, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. For the audience, I am Tamara Dixon, the HR Director for the town. I am here tonight proposing an update to the town's personnel policies related to nepotism. The current town policy regarding nepotism was enacted in 2002. Although it was originally intended to protect confidential information, the policy as written adversely affects applicants who are related to current employees in the IT, finance, and HR departments, as well as our smaller departments, by preventing them from applying for positions in the town. The policy also limits the town's recruitment efforts by making relatives of department directors ineligible. To ensure appropriate discretion from all staff, every new employee is required to sign a confidentiality statement as part of their employment with the town of Parker. As a result, we are seeking to remove the current section addressing specific references to just those departments with access to personnel or payroll records such as IT, finance, and HR. It should be noted that the proposed update to the nepotism policy still strictly prohibits direct or indirect supervision of an employee by a relative. To assure that we can hire and retain the best employees possible, as well as align Parker with industry standards, we are recommending this update to Section 2.3 of the Town of Parker's Personnel Manual. That said, are there any questions I can answer?
Council, questions? And just to clarify, in case anyone's wondering, correct me if I'm wrong, the only exception to that is actually elected officials where we can't have no employee for the town can ever be related to us while we're in office.
That is correct. We did not touch
Yeah.
that.
Okay, perfect. All right, with no questions, we'll open it up for public comment at 8:09 PM. Seeing no movement, we'll close public comment at 8:09, and I'll entertain further discussion or a motion, please.
I move to approve ordinance number 1.466.4 on second reading.
Second?
Motion by Josh and a second by Debbie. Council, please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Next item up is item 8D. This is ordinance number 9.277 on second reading. This is a bill for an ordinance to approve the intergovernmental agreement between the Town of Parker and Stonegate Village Metropolitan District regarding public improvements security. Senor Hudson, por favor.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. Back on May 21st, you approved intergovernmental agreements, or I'm going to use the acronym, IGAs.
Do it.
With Parker Water and Sanitation and Cottonwood Water and Sanitation that are identical to this one with Stonegate Village Metropolitan District. These three entities make up the water providers for here at the town of Parker, and this IGA basically creates a condition where we, the town, do not have to secure public improvements that we're doing for the water districts, and they do not in turn for us. Securing public improvements does cost projects basically additional financing costs, and is a cost that can be eliminated. At the time back in May, Stonegate was going through some management changes, and we had to wait till those got finalized to bring this forward. But this is what it is tonight. Is all three of them, if assuming it gets approved, will have the same level playing field between the three of them for public security improvements, security. With that, I'll answer any questions you have.
Council, questions?
No, I just want to say, I think it's outstanding. I know it was, it's great for Parker Water, it's great for Cottonwood, and I believe Stonegate deserves the same. To take essentially taxpayers' dollars to pay taxpayers is insane to me, so well done.
Okay. We'll open up for public comment at 8:11. Seeing no movement, we'll close public comment at 8:11, and I'll entertain further discussion or a motion, please.
I move to approve ordinance number 9.277 on second reading.
Second.
Motion by Debbie and a second by Amy. Council, please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Next item is item 8E. This is ordinance number 5.28.23 on second reading. This is a bill for an ordinance to amend various sections of Title V, Section 6.02.020, Section 8.08.010, Section 11.17.020, Section 13.13.010, and Section 13.13.020 of the Parker Municipal Code concerning alcoholic beverages and marijuana. And even though it tells me it's Jim Maloney who's going to be presenting it, with all of those sections and dots and numbers, it has to be an attorney in front of us. Jim.
And it's all about alcohol and marijuana.
All about pot and drink. Go for it.
So during the last legislative session, the General Assembly passed what's called the Department of Revenue Activities Regulation Act. And what that essentially means is they took an existing book, so there's many red books, and they are numbered by titles, and they created a new Title 44. So under Title 12, that's where the liquor and marijuana laws resided, and so they moved all of that into Title 44, a brand-new book called Title 44. And the purpose of the new Title 44 was to consolidate the activities regulated by the Department of Revenue, including such fun things as alcohol, tobacco, marijuana, gaming, racing, and the lottery. So they're all now in new Title 44. And unfortunately for us, the Parker Municipal Code refers to Title 12. And the reason there's so many references to Title 12 in our code is because liquor laws are a matter of statewide concern. So we have to do things that are consistent with state laws. So our references then are to Title 12. So we need to amend the Parker Municipal Code to refer to the new playbook, which is the new Title 44. And we have to do this by October 1st of this year. We have to reflect these changes in our code. There's also another add to this ordinance. The attached ordinance would add a new art gallery permit, which is authorized, which would be authorized as a part of the Parker Municipal Code. The new permit would allow a person operating an art gallery to offer complimentary alcohol beverages for consumption at the art gallery. There are time, date, and occupancy limitations. The time is 15 days a year. During that period of time where you are open for one of those 15 days, you can serve alcohol for up to 4 hours, and you're limited to 250 people in the gallery at any one time. So this is just another opportunity that would be available if we had that circumstance. And the Special Licensing Authority has reviewed the ordinance and recommends approval.
Okay.
Any questions, Mayor, Council?
Josh?
So my only question is, the art gallery new, I don't know if exception is the word, if it's being written into the code. But I guess my question is, does that have to be in an art gallery 365 days a year? If I owned another retail establishment and wanted to be an art gallery for Saturday night, can I do that?
It would have to be an existing art gallery in town. There's actually a definition in the statute for what constitutes an art gallery.
And Josh's basement doesn't count as an art gallery?
Unfortunately, no, even though I assume you could give the alcohol away and do it 15 times a year and have at least 250 people.
Josh, don't give alcohol away.
I would never.
Any other questions, Council? No? We'll open it up for public comment at 8:15. Seeing no motions, no movement, we'll close public comment at 8:15, and I'll entertain further motion, or further discussion or motion, please.
I move to approve ordinance number 5.28.23 on second reading.
Second.
Motion by Debbie and a second by Amy. Council, please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Only 3 items left. We're here, a home stretch. 8F is ordinance number 1.518 on second reading. This is a bill for an ordinance to approve the Memorandum of Understanding Household Chemical Roundup Program between Tri-County Health Department, the District Public Health Agency, and counties of Adams, Arapahoe, and Douglas, Colorado, and the town of Parker. Jacob.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members, council. The item you have before you tonight is a Memorandum of Understanding, or MOU, with Tri-County Health to memorialize the agreement they have with stakeholders such as the town of Parker to fund one of 3 annual household chemical roundups that they host every year. One of the 3 is in Parker in May every year, and the town of Parker is one of the sponsors for the event. So what they're looking to do is just formalize the monetary contribution that the town provides, as well as the in-kind contributions through this memorandum of understanding. The event that was held in May of this year in Parker, just for your information, generated over 114,000 pounds of material that was responsibly removed and taken out of households that didn't have a use for them anymore. So a good event for the town and for the county, and they're just looking to memorialize the agreement with the town. The monetary contribution for this year is $10,178 for the town of Parker.
Okay.
With that, any questions?
Council, questions? I've used it before, and what a godsend, absolutely, to have that as an option to take your yucky stuff to. All right, we'll open up public comment at 8:17 p.m. Anyone wishing to address council? Seeing none, we'll close public comment at 8:18, and I'll entertain further discussion or a motion, please.
I move to approve ordinance number 1.518 on second reading.
Second.
Motion by Josh and a second by Debbie. Council, please vote. That motion, it passed unanimously. Next item up is item number G. This is ordinance number 9.278 on second reading. This is a bill for an ordinance approving the intergovernmental agreement between the town of Parker, Colorado and Riata Ridge Village Metropolitan District numbers 1 and 2. Jim, we get to see you again tonight.
It's just overwhelming, isn't it?
Rock and roll.
So this is what we call a do-over, and this is a do-over of an intergovernmental agreement between the town and Riata Ridge Village Metropolitan Districts numbers 1 and 2. The original intergovernmental agreement was approved on August 4th, 2016. However, it was later discovered that the IGA was based upon a service plan that had an incorrect legal description for the boundaries of Districts 1 and 2. District 1 being the residential district, District 2 being the commercial district. Apparently there was a tract N that was inserted in the wrong district. As a result, there was a problem. It was corrected. There was, I think, essentially 2 resolutions that the town council approved late 2017 and then earlier this year. And so we now have the correct legal description parked with the correct metropolitan district. The IGA that's in your packet this evening is identical to the version that council approved on August 4th, 2016, except that this version is based upon a service plan that has a correct legal description for Districts 1 and 2. Any questions, Mayor, Council?
Council, questions? Nope. None? Open it up for public comment, 8:19 p.m. Don't rush the stage, everybody. All right, since no one's moving. Oh, whoop, Chris Hudson, you want to go up for public comment? You're next up, all right, all right. Close public comment at 8:20 p.m., and I'll entertain further discussion or a motion, please.
Move to approve ordinance 9.278 on second reading.
Second.
Motion by Josh, second by John. Council, please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Mr. Hudson, nice to see you again. All right, this is ordinance number, should we do it? Do the voice? No?
You still got- you still
Come
got-
on.
Oh no, we're getting there.
We still got another meeting after this, so I won't get into the radio announcer voice quite yet.
You're getting tired.
Getting tired, yeah. Ordinance number 1.477.2 on second reading. This is a bill for an ordinance to approve the Second Amendment to easement for vehicle parking and other use of right-of-way, Parker and Lincoln Development LLC. And I know it says Alex, but we got you, Mr.
Well,
Hudson.
I saw Jim on 3 times, so I thought I should be on 3
Do
times.
it. Always an overachiever, always. All right.
Going through the cycle.
Competition.
Yeah, exactly. We're hitting for the cycle tonight.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Back in April of 2016, you approved an easement for vehicle parking and other use of right-of-way to the the Parker and Lincoln Development. This is at the southeast corner of Parker Road and Lincoln Avenue. And with that easement that was granted, it allowed for certain things like parking and other improvements to be located within right-of-way to serve that development. When the easement was originally granted, one thing that was not identified was the construction drawings weren't done. There's some guardrail that's on the property that's in our right-of-way that's actually theirs to maintain. And this easement, basically, this amendment brings this guardrail back into the original agreement, and it's amendment to make this to track with that. So with that, I'll answer any questions you have, but it's a kind of a cleanup item to finalize the property owner agreement there, so the easement.
Council, questions?
So whose responsibility is the guardrail?
That would be theirs.
Thank you,
Is their responsibility, along with there's some retaining walls and some other improvements on the site, the parking lot, it's all theirs. to maintain, even though it's partially on town's property.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. We'll open it up for public comment at 8:22. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close that public comment at 8:22 and entertain further discussion or a motion, please.
I move to approve ordinance number 1.477.2 on second reading.
Second.
Motion by Amy and a second by Debbie. Council, please vote. Motion passes unanimously. With no further business before council, we will adjourn at 8:22 p.m. But before you all run out, you came for one meeting and you have the bonus of getting to hear two meetings, because in just a few minutes, we're going to start our Parker Authority for Reinvestment meeting once we can get the tapes changed and all that jazz happens. So if you're so inclined for a little extra punishment after 8:20 p.m., you can hang around and listen to our next meeting.
BOGO.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and call to order the Parker Authority for Reinvestment meeting. It's for September 17th, 2018. All Authority Board members are present with the exception of Authority Board member Renee Williams. Authority Board, first item on our agenda is the approval of minutes from May 7th, 2018. I would entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion from Josh and a second from John. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Next item is item number 3, public comment, 3-minute time limit. If there's anyone here to address the Authority Board, no action will be taken on these items. We'll open public comment at 8:23 p.m. I thought Rogers was you moved right when I said it, dude. I thought you were coming up. No? All right. Then we'll close public comment at 8:24 p.m. and move on to the next item, which is item number 4. We've got 4A, resolution number 2018-04. This is a resolution adopting the purchasing and procurement policy for the Parker Authority for Reinvestment, PAR, to assist in PAR's implementation for the town of Parker's existing urban renewal plans. Weldy, you will lead us through the presentation.
I will. So in 2017, we completed our strategic plan for PAR. And one of the recommendations was that PAR develop an operations manual. We've been slowly putting together pieces of the operations manual and prioritizing those. One of the first ones we needed to adopt was a purchasing and procurement policy. So essentially, this policy just outlines purchasing levels, who can sign for them, at what point we need to go through a full RFP process, or can we just have bids, sets those thresholds. And then it does talk about any purchasing of real property needs to be approved by the Authority Board. This is just an administrative process for staff to follow, but it also gives transparency to any of our potential vendors or anything as we go forward. It is not dissimilar to what the town has in place. And we have been following this policy, even though it hasn't been adopted and in writing since I've been focusing on this full-time since the beginning of 2017. So are there any questions about the policy I can answer? Yes, Josh?
I would just like to state that Exhibit A, Item 5, Section B.
Oh, yeah.
You are missing a
There
verb.
was a verb.
Oh my gosh, nerd alert! Come on, dude.
Purchasing agent shall have the authority, I believe.
Shall have. Yes, we'll add that in there.
Check. All right. Other questions, Authority Board? Nope. We'll open it up for public comment at 8:26 p.m. if there's any other verbs people would like to point out or lack thereof. Seeing none, we'll close public comment at 8:26, and I would entertain further discussion or a motion, please.
Move to approve resolution number 2018-04.
Second.
We have a motion from Josh and a second from Amy. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Next item is 4B. This is resolution number 2018-05. Resolution adopting the tax increment financing policy for the Parker Authority for Reinvestment, PAR, to assist in PAR's implementation for the town of Parker's existing urban renewal plans. Weldy, rocket.
All right, again, from our strategic plan, it was recommended that we update our tax increment financing policy. The previous policy was developed in
I thought I had the date written down quite some time ago and was not as detailed as this one is. It is quite a detailed policy, so I'm going to go through some of the highlights. And again, tax increment financing policies will come into play when we have a public-private partnership with a developer, most likely, that is seeking assistance for their development through tax increment financing. The goals of this policy are to increase transparency for the public, as well as the development community, and ensuring we're using these funds, the use of public funds, and it's been thoroughly vetted prior to that use. There are investment priorities that are set in this policy for the Urban Renewal Authority as a whole, and then each urban renewal district. Some of those support of investment and investment priorities, we need to make sure it's advancing the stated organizational objectives as defined in the strategic plan, that we're leveraging public funds with private funding, meaning that we're not the only ones putting money into the project. It correct a significant infrastructure deficiency that is hindering the private investment, that they are adding publicly accessible amenities to the projects, and that we're improving the mix of land uses and desired uses. We want to make sure we're creating a more vibrant experience in the investment environment and result in visible, tangible achievements. This process, once they have met the threshold, will go through a quantitative assessment that will not be conducted by staff, that will be outsourced to Stray Advisory, and they will make sure that the project pro forma meets all the bells and whistles, it meets the but-for test, and it is showing that there's a financial gap that we need to fill. We have done these quantitative assessments in the past at the staff level. This takes it to a whole nother level, and is something urban renewal authorities are doing in the metro area. All the costs for the third-party review will be paid for by the developers through a pass-through. Staff will conduct a qualitative assessment and making sure that all the P3 objectives and strategies are met and to what level they're met. We'll also review what conditions of blight are removed as part of this investment, and those are the 11 conditions of blight that are set by the state of Colorado. Will any of our investments be an opportunity to provide a catalyst for the urban renewal area for further investment? And how well does the investment fit into the character of Parker? The policy itself will not be something that will be enacted in a short time frame when we get these requests. We're anticipating at minimum they will take anywhere from 60 to 90 days, depending on how many reviews any request needs to go through with the third-party review and/or staff. Then any approval will be conducted by the authority board once we have gone through all of this background work to make sure that it is a project that we want to invest in as a community. So it is quite a long policy, so I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Authority board, questions?
Thank you, Mayor, or thank you, Chair. Well, a lot of this, when I was reading, it seemed we've already been doing this informally.
Informally, this does just has it written down, and it puts more teeth into the policy than we've had before.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else, Authority board? No? We'll open it up for public comment at 8:31, last chance of the evening. Seeing none, we'll close public comment at 8:31. Entertain further discussion or motion, please.
I move to approve resolution number 2018-05.
Second.
Motion by Josh and a second by Amy. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
With no further business before the authority board, we will adjourn at 8:31 p.m. with no